My brothers and sisters in Islam, Salah is not just an obligation upon us. It is the greatest pillar after the testimony of faith. It is the rope that connects the servant with his Lord, the direct conversation between you and Allah. When you stand in prayer, you are standing before the King of all kings. You are not simply going through motions. You are engaged in the most sacred act a human being can perform. This is why protecting the sanctity of Salah is not a small matter. It is a responsibility upon every believer. The Prophet said, the key to paradise is prayer, and the key to prayer is purification. This hadith alone tells us that without purity, Salah cannot even begin, let alone be accepted. Wudu is not just about washing the limbs. It is about preparing yourself physically and spiritually to stand before Allah. So when the wudu is broken, whether by passing wind or otherwise, the sanctity of Salah is immediately compromised. You cannot continue as if nothing happened. Why? Because Salah is for Allah and He deserves our utmost sincerity and honesty. Now, imagine an imam leading the people. He is not praying only for himself. He is representing the entire congregation before Allah. If his wudu breaks, his Salah is invalid. And if he continues knowingly, the prayer of the people behind him also becomes void. This is why the Prophet taught us that if the imam makes a mistake, the responsibility lies on him to correct it. And if his wudu is nullified, he must step aside and let someone else who is qualified take over. It is not shameful. It is an act of sincerity, humility, and respect for Allah. Too often, people are concerned about what will people say instead of asking, what will Allah say? But remember, Salah is not about the people. It is about your connection with Allah. If you sacrifice your sincerity for the sake of appearances, then you have lost the essence of worship. The sanctity of Salah must come before ego, pride, or embarrassment. The imam has a trust and a manner. Leadership in Islam is not a privilege, but a heavy responsibility. To lead the Salah means you are carrying the prayers of an entire group of believers on your shoulders. How can one compromise that trust for the sake of saving face? A true leader is not afraid to step back when the situation requires. In fact, the strength of an imam is seen in his humility, the ability to say, I cannot continue, someone else must lead. That is the kind of sincerity Allah loves. And for the congregation, the duty is also clear. If the imam steps back, those behind him must act with discipline. The next qualified person should move forward without causing confusion, laughter, or disturbance. Salah is not the place for jokes or chaos. It is a place for order, unity, and obedience to Allah. This discipline in prayer is a reflection of the discipline we need in our lives. Just as in Salah we maintain order, when one leader cannot continue, in life too we must be able to step up with calmness and responsibility when required. Protecting the sanctity of Salah also means reminding ourselves that this act is our lifeline to Allah. Shaitan will do anything to distract us, to make us careless about purity, to make us doubt, or to make us delay. But the believer must rise above that. Every time you stand for Salah, remind yourself, this is my moment with my Creator. This is my honor. This is my protection. So, my brothers and sisters, if an imam's wudu is broken, he must step aside because Salah is too sacred to be compromised. If you yourself are praying and your wudu breaks, stop immediately, redo your wudu and pray again. Do not continue out of shame or laziness. Protect your Salah and Allah will protect you. Value your Salah and Allah will value you. Break the sanctity of Salah and you are only cheating yourself, for Allah is in no need of our worship. Remember this, the acceptance of your deeds depends on sincerity and purity. The moment purity is lost, the act cannot continue. Guard your wudu, respect your Salah, and uphold its sanctity. For on the day of judgment, the very first question you will be asked about is Salah. If that is sound, everything else will be sound. If that is lost, everything else will be lost. May Allah grant us sincerity, humility, and the ability to honor the sanctity of Salah in every prayer we perform. Ameen. My beloved brothers and sisters, in Islam, leadership is not a position of honor or status. It is a position of responsibility and accountability before Allah. The Prophet Muhammad said, every one of you is a shepherd and every one of you will be asked about his flock. When you lead people, you are not standing above them in pride. You are standing before Allah with a heavier burden than them. And when it comes to leading the prayer, that responsibility becomes even more sacred. The Imam is not simply someone reciting Quran at the front. He is the guide of the congregation, the one entrusted to lead the people in their most important act of worship, Salah. Salah is the pillar of our faith, the foundation of our relationship with Allah. To lead others in it is a tremendous amanah, a trust that cannot be taken lightly. The Imam must carry sincerity, knowledge, humility, and purity. He cannot lead with arrogance, nor can he neglect the rights of those behind him. Think about it, when the Imam recites, every person behind him is following his words. his bowing, his prostration. If he makes a mistake, he bears a share of the responsibility. If he lacks sincerity, it affects not only his own prayer, but the prayers of the people following him. This is why the scholars say that the imam's role is not just ritual, it is spiritual leadership. It teaches us that leadership in Islam is never about the leader himself. It is always about serving the people and fulfilling a duty to Allah. Now, what happens if the imam loses his wudu during prayer? At that moment, his responsibility becomes even greater. His own prayer is invalid, and if he continues knowingly, he risks invalidating the prayers of those behind him. But Islam teaches us humility. The right action is not to continue out of pride, but to step back and allow another qualified person to take over. This may feel embarrassing, but remember, protecting the worship of Allah is far more important than protecting one's image before people. This is the essence of leadership in Islam, responsibility over reputation. The true leader is the one who safeguards the trust, even if it means stepping aside. And subhanallah, what a lesson this is for all of us. Many people in positions of leadership today cling to their seats out of pride, refusing to let go even when they cannot fulfill their responsibilities. But the Imam in Salah is teaching us, if you cannot continue, do not hold on. Step aside for someone else to carry the trust. That is not weakness, that is strength. And the congregation too must learn discipline. When the imam steps back, the person behind should step forward with calmness, without hesitation or chaos. This orderliness shows us the beauty of Islam. The prayer is not interrupted, the unity is not broken, and the worship continues in sincerity. What greater example of organized leadership can there be than this? The Prophet himself said, the imam is appointed to be followed. This means he must be worthy of being followed. He cannot treat leadership as a privilege, but as a duty. If he fails, he will be asked on the day of judgment not only about his own salah, but also about the salah of those he led. This is why the imam should always lead with humility, never with pride. He should strive for purity, sincerity, and closeness to Allah, for the one who leads others must always be ahead of them in taqwa. My brothers and sisters, let us remember that leadership in prayer is a mirror of leadership in life. Just as the imam must protect the trust of salah, leaders in families, communities, societies must protect the trust of those they serve. They must lead with sincerity, humility, and accountability, not with ego. And when they are unable to continue, they must have the courage to step aside for the betterment of all. So next time you stand behind an imam, think about the responsibility he carries. If you are ever called to lead, even in Salah, remember, it is not an honor to boast about, but a trust you will answer for before Allah. Leadership is responsibility, and in Islam, responsibility always comes before status. May Allah grant us sincerity in our actions, humility in leadership, and the strength to uphold every trust we are given. Ameen. My dear brothers and sisters, Salah is not only an act of individual worship, it is also an expression of unity, order, and discipline in the Muslim Ummah. When we line up shoulder to shoulder, without distinction between rich and poor, young and old, leader and follower, we are reminded that Islam is a religion of order, not chaos, unity, not division. Nowhere is this discipline more evident than in the way we follow the Imam during Salah. The Prophet Muhammad taught us, the Imam is appointed to be followed, so do not differ with him. This means that when the Imam says, Allahu Akbar, the congregation follows. When he bows, the congregation bows. When he prostrates, the congregation prostrates. This discipline reflects a higher principle that in Islam, obedience to rightful authority and respect for leadership bring unity and strength. If every person acted according to his own desires, the Salah would collapse into chaos and the Ummah itself would fragment. Now let us consider a situation where the Imam's wudu breaks during Salah. This is a moment of test not only for the Imam but also for the congregation. The Imam, as we mentioned, must step back and let another qualified person lead. But what about those praying behind him? Their response must be one of calmness, discipline, and responsibility. This is not a time to laugh, whisper, or create confusion. This is a time to protect the sanctity of Salah by maintaining composure and unity. Imagine, my brothers and sisters, if people behind the Imam started panicking, one saying, "What should we do?" Another laughing, and others leaving the rows. What would happen? The prayer would lose its sanctity and the unity of the congregation would be broken. But if the people remain calm, one stepping forward to lead and the rest continuing silently, then the Salah continues as though nothing happened. This is the beauty of Islamic discipline. It preserves worship, it preserves dignity, and it preserves unity. And this discipline is not accidental, it is training from Allah. Salah itself is a school of discipline. 5 times a day, you and I stand in lines, following a leader, keeping order, responding with obedience. It is as though Allah is training us. If you can maintain unity and discipline in Salah, then you can maintain it in life. And sadly, many of the problems in our Ummah today come because we fail to carry this discipline outside the Masjid. Think about it, that when the Imam steps back, someone else steps forward without hesitation. This teaches us that when one leader cannot continue, another must rise, not with arrogance, but with responsibility. The rest must accept this change calmly. This is the lesson of leadership and obedience taught to us through Salah. The community survives not because one person is perfect, but because the people together uphold order and discipline. The Prophet warned us against actions that cause chaos in Salah. He said that Shaitan tries to create disturbance even in the rows by distracting hearts, causing people to fidget or making them lose focus. But when the congregation remains united and disciplined, Shaitan cannot break their strength. This is why keeping straight rows, following the Imam carefully, and responding with respect are not small details. They are acts of worship themselves. So, my brothers and sisters, when something unexpected happens in Salah, whether the Imam loses wudu or forgets a verse or makes a mistake, the congregation must respond with discipline. If correction is needed, it should be done respectfully, using the words the Prophet taught, not with shouting or confusion. If leadership changes mid-prayer, it must happen smoothly. This discipline protects the Salah, protects the hearts, and protects the dignity of the worshippers. And let us carry this lesson beyond Salah. In our families, communities, and societies, we also need this discipline. When leaders fall short, the community must respond with calmness and responsibility, not chaos and division. When changes come, we must accept them with wisdom, knowing that unity is more important than personal ego. My beloved brothers and sisters, Salah is a reflection of life. If we can learn discipline in prayer, we can bring discipline into our dealings, our communities, and our Ummah. Respond with calmness, act with wisdom, and never allow Shaitan to divide you. For Allah loves those who remain united, disciplined, and sincere in their worship. May Allah make us people of discipline in Salah and in life, and may He unite our hearts as He unites our rows in prayer. Amen.